Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadev, the Thunder Wizard. My apologies for being a few minutes late. I thought we were coming on 10:45, but I was wrong. We're coming on now. All right. So I have just gotten word that my second book on ETs is now live, not only on Amazon and Kindle, but also on Audible. And I recommend the audiobooks version because not only do you get a better understanding of what I'm saying, the meanings behind all the stuff I wrote, because sometimes I write in these long, run-on sentences, paragraphs, because I have a deep concept I want to get across. But I also ad lib. There's also stuff that you hear in the audio version that you won't hear or you won't read. So, extraterrestrials are declaring war on three-dimensional psychopath elites. Now, that may sound a lot different to you than what it actually is, but it is no less of a war. And it is an interdimensional revolution, is really a war against the entire third dimension. The third dimension is coming down. That is not up for debate. That is a fact. The third dimension is over. It is in the process of being dismantled. As we speak, the third dimension is being dismantled and is being infused with higher dimensional vibrations, working towards a higher dimension. So this is what happens with every organism. Every organism, when it's about to evolve, the system in place will fight back against the energy of evolution. This happens in everything. This happens in everything you do. It's called growing. In our bodies, we call it growing pains. We have it psychologically. When you move beyond your understanding of yourself, you will have a kickback. Your unconscious mind will fight back against it, trying to keep you where you've been programmed to be. That is both positive and negative. So what has happened in the third dimension, as we have been getting closer to this dimensional shift, bear in mind, the human race has been around. Modern humans, we're just talking about modern humans, have been around for like 200,000 years. But if we're talking about the entire human race, we're talking about human beings like Neanderthals, Denisovans. Human beings have been around for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years. And so this has been the experiment. The experiment has been what happens when you take higher consciousness, which is you, a soul. If you are a human being, you have an infinite, extremely high dimensional consciousness within you. And the experiment has been that conscious beings, higher dimensional conscious beings, have said, what happens when you take higher dimensional consciousness and you put it into a very limited three-dimensional box? And your life has been an experiment by your higher dimensional self to expand understanding of consciousness. And this has been going on for hundreds of thousands of years just in the human species. I can only talk about human species because I'm a human. I don't know what it's like for any other kind of being. And so in order for our 3D human species, in order to survive, what has happened is that we have manifested what we have in our world now. We have done this. This is the collective unconscious of our lower vibrational self. If you want to call it the reptilian self, that's fine. If you want to call it the reptilian brainstem, that's fine. If you want to call it the fleshly carnal desires, if you want to, whatever word or phrase you want to use to describe purely 3D physical programming, that aspect of the human collective unconscious has manifested a guardian to try and stop us from evolving. If we look at the human race as an entire interconnected consciousness, just like within you, if you follow my teachings, you know that when you take action towards your highest spiritual joy, there will be an unconscious defensive reaction which will try and stop you. And that will be fear, self-doubt. You might even cause yourself to be physically ill, addiction. All these things are things that come up when you're trying to go towards your soul and you find yourself not being able to do it. Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, I don't know if I can do it. Oh, I don't believe in myself. Oh, no, it's too hard. This is your limited ego trying to protect what it knows. So we have the collective unconscious of the entire human race that's been on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years. And the spiritual component within us, which is our infinite soul, that part of us has decided that the three-dimensional experiment is over. As a result of that, the entire universe is shifting in order to create a new being. And that new being is going to be a higher version of us. According to the Hopis, the Hopis, by the way, in case you want to know, as far as I understand it, I don't represent Native Americans. I'm happy to be wrong about this, but from what little I know, the Hopis are viewed as the elders. And the Hopis, their land is among, if not the only, among the only Native American lands that have not been conquered by Europeans. They're in the same place they have always been, and they still control their land. One of the reasons is because they have the tablets. They have one portion of the ancient tablets that was the tablet for all humans way back when, who knows how long ago that was. And they hold the prophecies of what is going to happen. And so even though other Native American tribes have lost their land, some Native American tribes have gone completely extinct, these guys are still in the same place they've always been, and it's because they do the rituals that keep the universe going, and they hold on to the ancient knowledge. They've never lost that. And according to them, we are destined to move from what they call the age of the animal into the age of the human being. Now, this whole time you thought you were a human being, but you're not. You operate from fear. You operate from insecurity. You operate from manipulation. We all do. You operate from loneliness. You feel isolated. We operate from physical instincts, violence, procreation. That's the main thing that drives us. You don't believe me? Ask Jung and Freud. And according to the Hopis, we are now going to move into the age of the human being. And my ancestors called human beings Man, M-A-N-N, Man. Man means mind. Doesn't mean intellect, doesn't mean brain. It means spiritual mind. It means the meditative mind. The mind that operates through the dimensions, that operates from intuition. This is the mind. And humans are mind incarnated in 3D flesh. We have not fully achieved our complete human potential. And we are about to shift into that. But as we're shifting into that completely new evolutionary status, the collective unconscious of the human race is fighting back against it. That's the way things work. It has manifested what we call the deep state, the cabal, the elites, the Illuminati. You can call them whatever you want. There is a small group of extremely powerful, rich, sociopathic, psychopathic people who have every intention of stopping human evolution. Don't believe me? There was a very recent, actually I'm not going to talk about that, but without going into any detail about things that I cannot talk about, otherwise I will lose my YouTube channel. Things that have happened over the past couple of years have been proven to actually change human DNA. So they are working to actually stop us from evolving. The DNA that we have in us that we call junk DNA, which is scientists don't know what the heck that gene does, are the genes that are going to get flipped on. When they get flipped on, we are going to vibrate on a higher dimensional frequency. I'm telling you this not because I read it in a book somewhere. I'm telling you this not because I heard it from a channeler, not because it's the popular thing. It is a very popular thing to come onto a YouTube channel and talk about how, spirituality and higher vibrations and connecting with higher forces. It's a very popular thing. I am not telling you about our DNA getting flipped on and moving up to a higher dimension because I've read it somewhere and it sounds good. I'm telling you because it is happening to me personally. I know how crazy that sounds. It is completely, totally, utterly bonkers crazy. If I had heard somebody say this 7 months ago, I would have said they're deluded or a con man or both. But for the past 6 months, I have been interacting with higher dimensional beings who, for whatever reason, have decided to, on a daily basis, change me on an energetic level. They have put energy into me. They have changed things about me, expanded my awareness, continued to do all kinds of things. And in the beginning, I didn't believe them. I didn't believe them when they said, we are, we're shifting you up. We are flipping things on inside of you. We're putting higher dimensional energies into you. We are connecting you to our grid. Things like that wouldn't make any sense. But I've lived with it now for 6 months, and I can tell you that it's a fact. And the good news is that I'm not the only person that this is happening to, and I'm not the only person who can experience this. If you choose to be part of this interdimensional revolution to the degree that you are comfortable and you are able, you can be shifted as well. You can be energetically, and even the DNA in your body can be shifted to a higher level. So what is happening is that this revolution is not being fought by armies. This is a revolution for the control of planet Earth. You have on one side the psychopathic human beings, the cabal that is doing a very good job of trying to suppress the physical body from evolving, trying to control human DNA, literally at the level of the DNA. They're trying to control your DNA so that you don't evolve. They're trying to control and doing a very good job of controlling our economy. They are doing a very good job extremely good job of controlling our information streams. They have complete control over the military. They have total control over the narrative of science now. They didn't used to, but now they completely own the narrative of science, and they own the complete narrative of the educational system. They have almost got complete control over our planet and over the thinking of humans. They're very close to doing that. So this revolution will not be fought with three-dimensional means. You cannot fight it with violence. You cannot fight it with politics. You cannot fight it with Reddit. You cannot fight it with, dark internet forums. You can't fight it with MAGA hats. You cannot fight it with anything in the third dimension. The only way to destroy and defeat this last attempt of the human species collective unconscious, which is trying to stop the human race from evolving, the only way to overcome that is by actually shifting yourself to a higher dimensional state of being. That is being done by average people. Just to give you one example of how this is being done, Dr. Stephen Greer, I think a while back, made a request that everybody, second Saturday of the month or something like that, that everybody reach out to higher dimensional beings. And the reason why that is one extremely powerful revolutionary act is because every time a three-dimensional human being reaches out and connects to a higher dimensional being, the 3D elite cabal loses a little bit more control. And they lose control not because we've gone in there with tanks and guns or stormed the Capitol. They lose control because the only way they can control you is through the narrative. If you buy into the narrative out of fear or out of ignorance or out of a desire to be accepted, then they can control you. The truth is, the things that have happened over the past 2 years, if we said, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to take that experimental medical procedure. No, I am not going to believe what you're shoving down my throat that doesn't make any sense. If we decided that we didn't want to do that, they wouldn't be able to control us. The reason why they do is because we accept it, we allow it. So every time you interact on a higher dimensional level, it's as if you've gone in and dropped a bomb on them. They lose more. They lose more territory. They lose more territory of the mind. This is the battle. This is a battle for your mind. We are now moving to the realm of the human being, which is the realm not of the intellect, but the realm of the expansive spiritual mind. 3D cannot go there. We could say we're moving out of the age of the intellect into the age of the spiritual mind. The intellect can only handle 3D concepts. Now, having experienced myself, not in theory, but in waking consciousness, having physically experienced the presence of beings of much higher dimensions, I can tell you without any doubt whatsoever that there is no defense against this. No amount of 3D military force can withstand the powers of higher dimensional beings. The people behind this, the people behind the deep state 3D military, who, by the way, are getting ready to launch a military offensive against their own fellow humans. They're getting ready to do that, and they're going to pretend that they're going to try and lie to you and make you think that it's aliens coming from outer space to attack you. But it's actually completely done by human beings with human being technology. I forgot what I was saying. The people behind this, once the interdimensional revolution hasn't launched yet, but once it launches, those people will be dropped to their knees. If a 3D human is in the presence of a higher dimensional being that chooses to manifest into 3D or bring higher dimensional energy into 3D, those people will drop to their knees. Not because anything physically is happening to them, but because in higher dimensions, the higher dimensional planes are, and again, I'm not talking theory, something I read in a book. I've experienced it. I can tell you physically, I can tell you for a fact this is the case. In higher dimensional planes of being, the level of unconditional love is actually unbelievably frightening. To somebody who is in their fear, in their anger, in their ego, in self-devaluation, in anything we would associate with lower vibrational stuff, which is, basically every human, because without it we can't survive in 3D. But when that is exposed to the unconditional love of higher dimensional planes, it destroys the ego of the person. So when this shift comes, which we've talked about before, which is coming, this solar flash, it's been called, they called it a solar wave. When the solar wave hits, there's been solar waves that have been hitting the Earth, small ones. But when the big one hits, what is going to happen is that those people, including the extremely powerful deep state psychopaths, when that hits, it is going to destroy the limited egos of everybody on this planet. And for those that are deeply invested in violence, manipulation, control, it will knock them flat on their ass. It might kill them. It's going to put a lot of people into the hospital. It's going to put a lot of people into comas. And having experienced just a tiny bit myself, and I'm not a deep state psychopath, I'm just an average person like you who operates from 3D ego, like we all do. I have same survival instincts you do, that operate from fear, that operate from insecurity, that operate from the desire to overcome, and you either want to have sex with it, or you want to kill it, or you want to eat it. These 3D instincts we all have. In the presence of higher dimensional beings, those things are destroyed. Now, if you choose, by the way, let me be clear. I am using these words like warfare and things like that because from our perspective, that is what it's like. It is a de facto war because every time higher dimensional beings come into our three-dimensional world, and every time that higher dimensional vibrations, like solar vibrations that hit the earth, that shift us up a little bit, every time that happens, it has the effect, the same kind of effect as if we were launching a military attack on the third dimension. But all that's happening is that we're evolving. The earth is evolving, human beings are evolving, and evolution doesn't happen slowly and gracefully. It happens suddenly. It goes in jolts. And we see it recorded in the record of our planet, that there's been massive, seemingly violent, massive evolutionary shifts. And so only for those that are in that lower vibration will it feel, well, it's going to be more than violent. It'll feel like death. So we can choose to either sit back and watch this happen, which most people are by definition doing because they're not aware of it. I wasn't aware of it until about 6 months ago. We can either choose to sit back and watch it happen. We can try and fight against it, which a lot of people do, with their fear, with their denial, with needing to be part of the narrative, needing to whatever. And the other option is we can choose to be part of this revolution. We can choose to fight on the side of good. We can choose to fight on the side of light. And the most powerful way we can do that is by initiating contact with higher dimensional beings. And if we do that, let me tell you that every time you do that, you shift the timeline. Every time you do that, you change history. Every time you do that, you change the future. The Hopis, if you look deep into their prophecies, they have multiple prophecies. It's not like the Bible where there's one prophecy, God says this is what's going to happen. They have multiple prophecies. They have the general thing of what's going to happen is we're going to move from the age of the animal to the age of the human. But then they say, when we get to this shift, if humans do this, then this will happen. If humans do this, then this will happen. If humans do this, then this will happen. And there's varying levels. If humans simply go along with the shift and allow their spiritual nature to guide them, then it will be a smooth shift into a higher dimension. If, however, they do this, which is acting from your negativity, then there's going to be wars and famines and blah, blah, blah. So we can decide to change the future. We can decide to change the outcome. The future is not set in stone. Even the past, I have to tell you, the past is not set in stone. Literally not set in stone. Even the past, that if we were to dig up and look at rocks and the rocks say, here's what happened in history, that is not set in stone. We could do things. We could reach out to higher dimensional beings. And if you have a rock, let's say, that has some kind of a fossil in it, you could go and do the interdimensional meditation that I teach you here, or do CE5, and you could go back and that fossil could have shifted or changed or disappeared. These things are not set in stone. You are not set in stone. You are designed to shift and to change and to evolve and to grow. So I am inviting you to join this revolution. As I said, I just got one of my new books just come out, Interdimensional Revolution, How Humans and Extraterrestrials Are Working Together to Destroy the Deep State 3D Matrix. You can get it on Amazon, Kindle. You can also get it on Audible. You can go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. If you want to learn how, as I do, if you want to learn how on a daily basis to connect to higher dimensional beings, actually have them come to you, have higher dimensional beings come into your physical 3D presence, teach you, empower you, heal you. I can't even begin to tell you the stuff that they do. You can choose to do that. You can go to thunderwizard.com and you can subscribe to the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. I don't know what I call it. And of course, the easiest thing to do is just to subscribe to the 90-day challenge, which is even better because it gives you, and it's only $1 more, it gives you access to energy practices that if you do those practices, you will be better able to tolerate, physically handle higher dimensional energies. I've been doing these very powerful energetic practices. I would venture to say the most powerful energetic spiritual practices in human history. I have been doing these for almost my entire adult life. And my energy body and my meridians had gone through a lot of change. And I still wasn't ready for the intensity of the energy of a powerful higher dimensional being. I've since run into a couple that have been a little bit above my pay grade, and I've had to, take myself into the mechanics to get worked on because the energy is just unbelievable. So you owe it to yourself to do something to shift out of that. That's what the Warrior 90-Day Challenge is, www.thunderwizard.com, and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. All right, so I've done all my business. I'm happy to take any questions. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps, then write your question. If you have a feeling, I want to hear your feeling too. A feeling is I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm scared. It's the emotion. A feeling is not a thought or an opinion. A feeling is an emotion. I want to hear your questions and your emotions. And if you do, I will respond. All right, so we've got Vincent. As you know him very well, vincent.thunderwizard.com. Check out his website. He is one of my Vedic astrologers. He does a bunch of other stuff. Same with Thundra, THUNDRA.thunderwizard.com. Also one of my Vedic astrologers and powerful shaman in her own right. Lance Johnson, you did not miss anything. I was late. I thought we were coming on at 10:45. I showed up. I said 10:30 instead of 10:45. No other questions. I guess we're done. So we're all ready to do that. We're all ready to move to the higher level. So let me tell you what we do in the interdimensional meditation, shamanic meditation course. In that course, what I teach you how to do, which, you don't have to learn it from me, but, well, let's talk about this. Since there's no questions, I'll go ahead and talk about it. So there is something that has been introduced that I'm sure you're aware of, which is called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind Protocols by Dr. Stephen Greer, CE5 for short. CE5 is something that the average person does because they want to see spaceships. So CE5, I've got my radio right here. CE5, you do things like you get ham radios, you get your video recorder, you get your camera, you get your your EMF registering devices, and you go out somewhere outside the beach or in the desert, the mountains, someplace where you can see the sky. And you do, first you get yourself in a meditative state, and then you astrally project yourself out into space. And once you're out into space, you then make the mental invitation for extraterrestrials to come and visit you. And then you sit around and you wait. So you sit here with your, you've got your tones on your phone and you put those through into your radio, or you do flashing lights, or you do something. All of this with the assumption that you're trying to get extraterrestrials to help them find you, which is actually quite funny, but there's a purpose for it, which I talk about in both of my ET books. And then what you do is you wait around for something to happen. You wait around for the light show. You wait around for orbs or spaceships or what you think are spaceships. I'm going to venture to say that the vast majority of the time people think they're seeing spaceships. They're not seeing spaceships. They're seeing higher dimensional energies coming into our third dimension. A lot of falling stars. Interesting thing, if you're like me and you do this, you'll find that when you go outside, there'll be falling stars, that look like giant fireworks, just crazy, just right in your line of sight. They just happen to be all over the place. Orbs floating around you, things like that. And people do this CE5 to have that visual experience. And that visual experience opens them up. Now, the actual lights that they see give off a higher dimensional energy, which does have an effect on you. And so even those people who go do that, and it's frustrating for me because, so many people who are into CE5 are obsessed with lights and orbs, and they go around looking for ETs all the time as if it's, this random thing. It's not. There's nothing random about it. But if you want to go deeper, which is what I do, if you want to go beyond the superficial light show, because that's all it is. Whenever people do CE5, and if you see a light in the sky, it is simply a light show for your entertainment, so that hopefully you will open up your awareness to the point where you can interact with these higher dimensional beings without having to get all caught up in the superficial light show. They're really not interested in that. They don't mind doing it, and they're happy to do it if it opens up your awareness. They like doing it in groups. When you've got a bunch of people out there, they like doing it then. They like to allow your curiosity to begin to think beyond the 3D, because that's the whole point of it. But what they want more than anything else is to commune with you on an interdimensional level. That is the main thing they're looking to do. They do that for multiple reasons. The most obvious reason is because they actually love you. Every single one of you listening to me, you have been taught that you have a guardian angel, that you have that you have spirit guides. And we don't really think about what those are. What is a spirit guide? What is we don't really think about it. We just accept that those things exist and that everybody has one. And sort of the assumption is it's sort of an extension of our own consciousness. It's kind of part of ourselves. It's not, we don't really think beyond that. Most people don't think about it. Every single one of you listening to me today has a guardian angel, has a spirit guide, has some kind of a spiritual guiding force that in emergencies will show up and will make themselves known to you. They will give you intuitions. They will guide you. People about to blow their brains out, and they feel a hand touch them, and they feel a presence, a warmth, and they go, "Oh my God, I'm not alone in the universe. God loves me." Something like that. These beings that we think of are not beings with wings that fly around and at the throne of God. These are souls, just like yours, that have known you for thousands of lifetimes. You have incarnated in multiple places, in multiple planets, in multiple dimensions. You have incarnated in many different ways, in many different places. And you have created relationships that span millions or billions of years with other souls just like yourself. These other souls have decided to incarnate into different dimensions for whatever reason. They've evolved to that point. They've chosen to do it. I don't really care. But the fact of the matter is that when a soul, an infinite soul, a being of pure light, incarnates into a physical body in any dimension, that being then is going to seek to help other beings evolve. So all of these beings that are coming to Earth now from other planets are actually souls incarnated in various kinds of physical bodies. And they are existing on higher dimensions. And they are all gathering around planet Earth. And each one of you listening to me has multiple extraterrestrial, higher dimensional beings that have been guiding you since before you were born. I can give you, I should probably write a book about it, but I've had experiences my whole life with, when I was a Christian, I had experiences with angels. When I was a Taoist, I had experience with higher dimensional masters. As I got involved into the kinds of shamanism I teach now, I had experiences with ancestor spirits. I had things happen to me that at the time I did not understand what was going on. What does this mean? I don't know what any of this means. I look back on it now, I can finally say I know exactly what was happening. I know exactly what that message was. I know what it means. And that is because I finally have a glimpse of what the multiverse really is. It's not at all what I thought. So what is happening now? The Earth's electromagnetic field is shifting. It is reducing. The electromagnetic field is getting thinner and thinner. This thinning of the electromagnetic field is the first symptom of the Earth shifting to a higher dimensional vibration. The lessening of the electromagnetic field has actually created a greater permeability between the third and the fifth dimension. So these higher dimensional beings no longer need to come to you through that thick three-dimensional layer and present themselves to you as angels or spirit guides or animal spirit guides or whatever. They no longer need to do that because now you are able, as a human being, for the first time in human history, to see through the dimensional barrier. You now have the ability to travel between dimensional barriers. And human beings didn't have that ability before. We do now. And so these beings that have been with you your whole life, I guarantee you that when you start interacting with these beings and the more you get to know them, you will realize that that being is your guardian angel that you remember when you were 4 years old or 7 years old. When you had that vision. For myself, I remember being 7 years old and having scarlet fever. And my temperature rose, to some astronomical level. And apparently I was, going to die if I didn't, my temperature didn't go down. And I remember leaving my body. And I was hovering over my body on bed. And I saw this being of light in my doorway. And the light coming off of this being was unbelievable. I couldn't see her face. I could see her hair and I could see her gown going all the way to the floor. And there was this intense brightness coming off of her face. It was so bright I couldn't see past it. I couldn't see the details of her face, probably because if I did see the details of her face, I would have seen some extraterrestrial, some being that's a different species than me, and it probably would have freaked me out. But instead, what I saw was a woman who was sending me all of this love, intense love, and actually downloading information to me that I'm still decoding now, 50 years later. But that wasn't an angel. It was a higher dimensional being that has been with me my whole life because I've known that being multiple lifetimes. Of course, I don't remember that now in my human brain. And so this whole nonsense that people go through when they want, people get wrapped up in ufology and they want to know about spaceships and they want to know about alien creatures and all that. And it's like, sitting, this is my take on it, but I mean, CE5 wanting to just, with your binoculars getting all bent out of shape over the lights in the sky is, when you meet somebody, you don't go, what kind of car do you drive? I want to watch you drive your car. Where do you drive your car mostly? Highway 1? I'm going to sit on Highway 1 and look for you to drive your car. It's just ridiculous. You don't care. I mean, it's such a superficial thing what kind of car somebody drives. What kind of spaceships these beings fly in is just really superficial to me. For me, what I want is an energetic connection with them. I want to commune with them, to talk to them, to learn from them, to be empowered by them on a deep, intimate level. That is what I am wanting to share with you in the Interdimensional Revolution, in the Interdimensional Meditation course. You can choose to do it or not to do it, but I'm here to tell you, without any doubt in my mind, to whatever degree you are willing to work interdimensionally, you will be destroying the hold of the 3D psychopaths without ever leaving your home or posting on Reddit or going to a political rally. All you have to do is simply meditate interdimensionally, connect with your own higher self, to connect with your own spirit guides, because that's all they are. When you do that, the 3D state gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And we create a more favorable scenario for the higher dimensional shift to come. And when it does, the elites are going to drop to their knees. Many of them are going to die. Some of them are going to end up in a hospital. Some of them are going to go into comas. And some of them are going to be so struck with sadness for what they've done, they're going to end up being the street cleaners for the next, for the rest of their lives. If you want to be a part of that, I invite you to do that. I'm not the only game in town, but if you want to learn my method, you can go here to thunderwizard.com. And I recommend everybody get the Interdimensional Revolution book. It's real cheap. You can get the audio book here at audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. All right, I'm trying to give you a bunch of time to ask questions, and I'm not seeing that here. One question showed up. Erdwick likes my books. Thank you for that. Timothy Zoll, question. When doing the work, quote unquote, I've had tapping, tingling on the top of my head. Do you think it could be higher beings or chi energy or both, as you've stated similar experiences? Well, I mean, I obviously can't say what it is, but that is not an uncommon experience. Now, I have a thing, being the tough guy that I am. I don't like people just touching me. I don't do well with that. So they know that, and so they don't walk up and do things that, like a lot of people will feel somebody grab their hand. A lot of people will feel somebody touch them on the shoulder. A lot of people will feel hands on them. And a lot of people will just feel energy, things on their chakras getting stimulated. I've definitely felt fingers on my crown chakra. I felt once very early on, I felt somebody just very lightly touch me like this. And I didn't know it, but I found out later that there's actually an energy meridian point that if you want to calm somebody down, there's a very specific, you touch them like that. And that's exactly what somebody or something was doing to me. It was so light that I almost didn't feel it, but I remember it. And I remember that it calmed me down. I was freaking out. So I definitely don't have any problem with the idea that energy beings are touching your chakras. I mean, humans do it all the time. I've done it. When I do energy transmissions, lots of times I'll put, my hand or, I'll do all kinds of things, and it works. So if I can do it, you can be damn well sure that a higher dimensional being, if they do it, it's going to have a powerful effect. I certainly continue to have this happen. I will have this happen, basically on a daily basis. There's some energy shifting going on. I've gotten used to their energies. At first, their energies from a higher dimension, I mean, you can, when you feel it, you're feeling a higher dimensional energy. And when I get some of the really powerful ones, at first I thought I was having like an anxiety attack, but I've come to understand that it's just higher dimensional energy now. And so I go with it. I just, I could be anywhere, driving my car, lying down, sitting here doing these videos, happens all the time. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Erdwick, welcome to the channel. The way this works is if you look above, you see Timothy, he's written the word question in all caps, and then he writes his question in regular script. They do that so that I won't miss it. We don't have a problem today, but in the past there's been lots of people, and I just scroll through everything that's not a question or a feeling. So in the future, please do me a favor, do that, write the word question in all caps so I know you have a question, because I don't want to interact with anything other than questions and feelings. It looks like you ask a question here. You say, also, what's the difference between devas and gods and the beings you describe, or are they a different class? So Erdwick, you're new to the channel. The other thing that I recommend that people do is go on to my YouTube channel page, Thunder Wizard DOTCOM. And on there, go on to the playlists, look for the things that you're interested in. If you don't see it in the playlist, you can search for it. So whatever device you use, whether it's there's some way to search terms within a person's channel. I have so many videos that I deal with pretty much every question anybody asks. I've already dealt with it, had multiple videos. I've had no shortage of videos made on that very same question. So the word Deva is, it comes from the same root word for the original father god of the Norse tradition, which is pronounced in the Norse, Tyr, in the Anglo-Saxon, Tiu. Tiu, Deu, it's the same word. It means light. So Deva means light. And so the gods and the Devas are the same. It's just a different word in a different culture. And again, I've got books written about it. I invite you to do some research, read my books. I talk all about that. Anyway, and there's no shortage of videos. And again, if you subscribe to thunderwizard.com at any level, even the lowest level, you will get access to tens, if not hundreds of hours of videos where I go into detail explaining all of these things. So welcome to the channel. Please make use of this channel. This channel is a source of information. It is impossible for anybody to master everything that I put in this channel over the past 10 years. It's impossible. It is a library. Do the work, do the research yourself. There's a benefit in that. I invite you to do the same, Erdwick. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for your question. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Tantra is defined as weaving. According to whom? I didn't say that. Did I say that? I didn't say that. Tantra, according to you, you say Tantra is defined as weaving and also a spiritual technique. Is there a connection between tantric practices and the web of weird? I'm also writing a book about Tantra and Vedic astrology. So Tantra, I don't know if, do I remember the exact translation? Tantra means vehicle. And so tantric practices have to do with specific things. So you don't know it, Vincent, but you teach Tantra. Whenever you do a Vedic astrology reading and you give somebody a mantra with a specific ritual, that is a Tantra. So this word Tantra has been completely misinterpreted and mistranslated, and all of the stuff that you see about tantric yoga being about sex, complete nonsense. You see people who say, I'm a tantric yogi, and they sit around and they get into their sensual vibe. I got nothing against it. You want to go do it, go do it. I got nothing against it. And I'm not going to say it's not spiritual, but it's not Tantra. Tantra means technique. So I don't know where you heard that Tantra means weaving. I didn't say that. I don't know who said it or what the context is. But is there a connection between tantric practices and the web of weird? Tantric practices just means that. It means a spiritual practice that follows a certain equation. You face this, you do this, you say that, you touch this mudra. That's Tantra. The web of weird is a way of describing the quantum field of consciousness, which is interconnected. And the Norns, which are the original, they're not even goddesses, they are giantesses, who weave together the web of weird. Weird means that which has been woven. So the web of that which has been woven, the web of weird, they are, as you know, past, present, and future. So this isn't really a direct connection. Having said that, there's nothing, Tantra, of course, works with the web of weird in the same way that any other spiritual, energetic, or magical practice does. So somebody can make that connection. But again, I don't know where you heard that. That's on the surface, that definition is not accurate. It may have been somebody doing some kind of spiritual, ritualistic, this plus this plus this, and they may have described it as a weaving of energies, and that could be true. But Tantra itself is not defined as weaving as far as I know. I don't know who said that. Anyway, but you say you're writing a book. I'm really happy to hear you say that. I completely encourage you in doing that. And you don't have to take my definition for anything. If you want to weave those two things together, and if you can do that intelligently in a way that's helpful to people, you go right ahead. Don't let me talk you out of doing anything. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Observations. Laugh out loud, I know. You're laughing out loud because I don't want observations. So Vincent, you're starting to get to get your oats, aren't you? You're starting to, all of that work you're doing is giving you a little bit of self-confidence. Good for you. I'm happy to see that. You say, I've noticed the symbol for the web of weird looks very similar. I don't know what symbol you're talking about. I mean, I'm not aware of a symbol for the web of weird. I think some people have come up with it. Maybe it's a traditional thing. Maybe it's not. I have nothing against it, but I don't remember that. Anyway, but like I said, look, I'm just here to give my experience, and, I've done things. I have syncretically combined things that weren't combined before and created whole new things. And I absolutely encourage every one of my students to do the same. And Vincent, you're doing that. I can tell by the way you're talking that you are doing your own research and you're syncretically putting things together. And I couldn't be more thrilled that you're doing that. I'm really happy to see that. It makes me happy because that's what I want people to do with all of the information that I've given, with all of the techniques, all the stuff that I've taught. I have no interest in being, the sole, source of knowledge on anything. I'm just a person like everybody else trying to make my way through this 3D thing, and I'm finding the tools that work for me. But I specifically create, when you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, when you go to thunderwizard.com and you take those courses, I give you the tools in, chunks, and you take them. And people who use them and master them, they will then be able to use that knowledge and those technologies, and they'll create their own things. And I want you to do that. I have no interest in, anybody bowing down and following me. I'm just an explorer, and I find stuff and I share it with you. Take it and you use it. I don't care. As long as it helps you and other people, it's the only thing that matters to me. I will be very happy if, when I'm done with this 3D life, that I can look back on planet Earth, the higher vibrational planet Earth, and if I see people using the tools that I've given them and creating their own paths and techniques, that will make me the happiest. To know that my work has been given to people and that people are using it, and they've even forgotten about me. I want them to just use it, and they don't know where it came from. I learned it from that guy, and he learned it from somebody else, and I don't know where it came from. That's what I'd like to see. Erdwick says, I wrote my question badly. I didn't say you wrote it badly. And Erdwick, welcome to the channel. You don't have to defend yourself. Listen, I'm a grandiose, controlling person. I like things done a certain way, and you don't have to take anything I do or say personally. Don't let anybody make you feel bad. You don't need to get my approval for anything. I just like things in a certain way. but I'm not judging you. I don't see, this is, people think that I judge them. They get, well, I don't respond the way that they want. I'm not talking about you, Erdrich, but sometimes I tell people the truth in ways that they don't want to hear. And people think that I get upset with them. And the truth is, once I'm done saying it, I forget who they are. I don't even know they existed. They come back a week later. You got mad at me. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. What are you talking about? So you don't have to explain yourself to me. You don't have to defend yourself. You're doing just fine. Lance Johnson, honest feeling. Excited to be interacting with my spirit guides lately. The teachings from Thundra and you have given me a purpose in life. 67 and still learning. That's awesome, Lance. And I'm happy to hear that Thundra has been helpful to you as well. It makes me happy to know that as well. So that's it. Excuse me. I don't see any other questions here. Are we done with the questions? Okay, guys. So that's it. Let me just say again, if you're new to this channel is not about listening to me talk. This channel is about doing the work. If you really like what I say, if there's something that I'm saying that's stimulating something in you, you need to take it to the next level to have that knowledge be of any real value. And that is doing the work. Go here to thunderwizard.com, subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, and look at all the stuff. If you subscribe at that level, you will have access not only to spiritual practices that I've videotaped, you just press play and you follow, which will completely change yourself on 3 levels: energy level, chi; kundalini level, which is spiritual consciousness; and the lightning center of the heart, which has to do with, more of the power of the energy of the soul. You do all of that, I guarantee you your life is going to change for the better, and you will be better able to handle higher dimensional energies. Then beneath that is the Interdimensional Shamanic Meditation course, which I'm going to continue to keep sharing with you. Listen, I've been doing all kinds of really crazy shamanic journeys out there that I haven't been talking about. I'm going to catalog all of those. How to go to different planets. What to do, let's say, if you go to Jupiter. And the beings, as it turns out, there are beings that live on Jupiter on a higher dimension. We go and fly around Jupiter, all we see is this big giant gas ball, but that's in the 3D. In higher dimensions, there are extremely powerful energy beings. You have no idea how powerful these beings are. I'll tell you what to do there. I'll tell you what to do if you go to Venus, what to do if you go to Mercury, what to do if you go to different solar systems. And different, not solar systems, different galaxies. These are the kinds of things I'm doing on a daily basis that I'm not telling you guys about, just because I just don't have time to list all of it. But I'm going to be listing and telling you exactly what I do when I go there. I know some of the, like for instance, I know some of the beings that are in control of some other galaxies around us. I'll let you know who they are. You can interact with them. And you can say, I see that Mahadeva sent me. And I'm only half kidding when I say that. So that is at the Interdimensional Meditation course level. Beneath that, you have the Manifestation Mastery course, which tells you how to manifest 3D, how to take the web of weird, as Vincent talks about, and use that to flip the switches on and off of the energy web around us, that you can manifest your perfect 3D reality. And when you learn how to do that now, when we make the shift, it's going to be instantaneous. So people who practice now are going to be the ones that are manifesting like crazy in the higher dimensional shift when it comes. Beneath that, at the base level of the thunderwizard.com subscription site, is the Mastery of Shamanism, where I go through all of the basics of energy, of ritual, of mantra, of runes, of gods, deities, the history of all of that stuff that you'll find on this. So there's no way you can subscribe here and master all of those videos even within a few months. I don't know how long it would take. It would take a very long time. So I think everybody listening to me should be subscribed. And if everybody that watched me was subscribed to that, I could retire and I wouldn't have to do anything. But you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself because there's nothing else out there like that. And it's so inexpensive. I could easily make a cult out of all of this and just to give you an idea, some of the guys who did, I forget the kind of meditation, what they called it, were one of these gurus and something meditation, I forget what he called it. But he used to charge people thousands of dollars for their own specific mantra. He would take some people aside and he would say, I want to give you your own special mantra. Do you want that? I say, yes, Guru, I want that. All right. And this is back in the 70s. $5,000. And they would gladly pull out $5,000 and give him $5,000. And then he would whisper in their ear a one syllable mantra. And then he would say, do not share this with anybody or it will lose its power. This is your personal mantra. Now, you and I listening to that, we think, my God, that is so abusive of him. And whatever he was doing to make himself a lot of money, the truth is that actually worked really well because those people, because they paid so much money for that one syllable mantra, and because they didn't share it with anybody, their ego didn't get attached to it. Because when you say, oh yeah, I'm doing the such and such mantra. Really? How many repetitions? Oh, I've been doing it for 5 years. Your ego gets involved and that power gets taken away. No, they have this special mantra that's just for them. As it turns out, he was teaching people base one syllable, what we call bija mantras. Om, shring, hring, kring, kling. These are basic mantras, basic seed sounds that any real student of mantra learns. And he was giving them to people for $5,000. It benefited them because they valued it. The stuff that I'm teaching here, you can't find anywhere. There's stuff that I have channeled that's been given to me that's never been given to human beings in the history of human beings ever before. The Huar mantra I give out for free. The Hul breath I give out for free. Bunch of other stuff. Everybody, you owe it to yourself to at least check it out. You've got nothing to lose. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. And I guarantee you, if you follow my directions and you do the work, I guarantee you a shift will happen in your life. If you don't believe me, you can prove me wrong. Take the 90-day challenge, and if afterwards you haven't had a complete and total energetic shift, you can come on and tell me about it. Nobody's done that. It's not happened yet. All right, giving you guys time to write questions here as I'm paying the bills. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Will you write the foreword to my book? For $5,000? No, I'm kidding. Sure. Why not? When you've written it, you can send me like a PDF copy or something, and I'll write a foreword for you. What else? Nothing else. We're all done. Okay, so I guess we're all done. So thank you guys for showing up, and I appreciate you showing up for me and being here for me as I rant on, and as I am very seriously trying to do whatever I can to change the world, to shift, and to do whatever I have within my power to help everybody. Every single human being, every single conscious being in the multiverse, doing everything in my power that I can to help lift our awareness. The book has just come out in audio, Interdimensional Revolution. I welcome you to check it out, audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. That's it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I will see you all very soon. Take care.